What's good? Orleans. You know who it is. Logan Murdock, a.k.a. Logie Boo, not the two. We have a great show for you guys today. Me and Howard and Cliff, we talk about the scenario that's going on in Memphis with Morant, which just has so many layers to it. Jeez, I would love to get into it right now, but we got to go do a show. So we had a fun time talking about that. That went into a Zion discussion. That went into all the underachieving teams. Maybe the Mavericks. Are they really underachieving? I'm not sure because we kind of just knew who they were going to be. Maybe underachieving for the front office is a better thing to say. The Atlanta Hawks, what are they? Are they underachieving? Are they going to be okay? The Pelicans. We should just stop talking about the Pelicans. I think that they need to just get deregulated and go to the G League for right now, just to get get back as an organization, figure their stuff out. What else did we talk about? We had a really fun show. Cliff was great. We put Howard on the spot a couple of times with our young millennial Gen Z jargon. And it was a really, really fun show. So tap in, all the bleep.
You're listening to the Ringer NBA show presented by FanDuel. FanDuel now displays your bet directly on your phone's lock screen. And with the latest updates to the live events and player pages, it's never been easier to be part of the game. And Missouri, get excited because FanDuel's coming your way December 1st. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app now and play your game. 21 plus and present in select states or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut.
What's poppin'? Real ones. Logan Murdock here. Howard motherfucking Beck there, Cliff in the motherfucking cut. He will be here in a second. But first, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the teams that have buckled under expectations or underachieved in a minute. And then we have Mailbag in another minute. But first, let's talk about the biggest news in the NBA right now, Mr. Morant. Howard, let's just go through the timeline really quickly. He gets drafted number 2 overall in the 2019 draft. Has a great rookie season, wins Rookie of the Year. Then has leads the next season, leads the Memphis Grizzlies to a playoff berth after a great play-in showing, including beating the Golden State Warriors, surprisingly, beating Steph and Draymond. And then 2022, Memphis is showing something, right? It gets them to the second round, loses to the Warriors, but he gets an extension. Things are looking up, right? We're thinking of this as like the reincarnation of the 2010s OKC team, where they're just incrementally becoming a contender. 2023 doesn't really work out so well. Then off the court issues stem, right? He has the gun incident where, the IG Live incident gets suspended. Then a lawsuit and where he may or may not have hit a young child that was in litigation for a while. Then he gets suspended. Then on the court issues, he doesn't get back to past the first round for the rest of his career up until now. And then it seems like, Howard, that at a certain point, Memphis is kind of souring on Ja, where they're making decisions that don't really align with what Ja wants, right? They sources told The Athletic a few years ago that they got rid of an assistant that he likes, got rid of Coach Jenkins, which was the coach that helped put him on. Then they get a new coach that is not running the offense that he likes to run. And then we get what happens at the end of last week, which is also interesting because he says we don't really get a real big reported piece about this. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors, but after the game, Ja's visibly upset. Local media asks him what happens. He says a lot of times asks the coaching staff, they don't want to play me. And then he gets suspended one game, and then he comes back, loses again to Cade Cunningham, who looked great last night, who scored, I think, 19 in the fourth quarter, balled out. And they asked after the game, the local media, if he's having his joy, which seems like somebody that was in the Jimmy Butler scrum who asked the same question last year in Miami. And Ja said the same answer Jimmy said, which is no. And here we are right now where Ja Morant seemingly is on the end of his extension and doesn't seem like, at least if you read the tea leaves, Memphis doesn't seem too enthusiastic keeping him long term. And this was reported also on the Ruins podcast, that sometime last year during the live show by the guy that I'm about to speak to, that, maybe there's some tea leaves that Ja might get traded. So I'm saying all of this to say it's time for your victory lap, Howard motherfucking Beck. What do you have to say?
No victory laps. No victory laps. I would just say, as I texted you yesterday, that, the person in the league who I'd spoken to, who was the reason for my comment at that live show in February, obviously was onto something, because what they had told me at the time was that the offense that they had installed last season, so this goes way back to last season for sure, in terms of like this, the simmering issues, that the offense was not exactly catering to Ja, and it was not something that Ja was particularly thrilled with. And so all the person had said before this thing blew up, after I said it out loud, was keep an eye on, because I had asked about other possible star trades. Keep an eye on Ja. And, that prompted Zach Kleiman, the Grizzlies GM, to then issue a statement that later that week, after it blew up on social media, to say, like, other teams can fantasize all they want about trying to trade for Ja, but, he's our guy.
Famous last words.
Flash forward to now, and that same GM, Zach Kleiman, is the one who just had to suspend Ja for a game for conduct detrimental to the team. And it's clear that Ja's not happy still with the offense and with Coach Tomas Isolo. And, these situations don't generally just calm down on their own, Logan. We've seen a lot of these over the years. If the star player and the coach are not aligned, the team at some point has to pick sides. Suspending Ja a game would seem to indicate at this point they are leaning toward the coach. They did fire Taylor Jenkins. That could be read a number of different ways last season, but they've now put their stock, their faith, their direction in Tomas Isolo's hands. He's a rookie NBA head coach, but they clearly believe in him. And they knew what they were getting when they decided to promote him at the end of last season, and then to keep him. Like, they could have gone to Ja if they wanted to still operate in that old school way where you like check in with your franchise players. Is this the coach you'd want? Who would you want to play for? They're not doing that. And this offense does de-emphasize all of the high pick and roll stuff that Ja has thrived in. This is more of a pass, read, and react kind of offense where Ja's not involved as much as he's used to being. Ja clearly wants to be the same high usage guy that he's been in his career, and doesn't want to adapt to this. So I don't know if this has already reached a head or if it's going to reach a head soon. But if you're watching Ja Morant's body language, if you're listening to things he's saying, if you're listening to how testy he's being with the local media, who, I don't feel like I've been particularly aggressive with him over the course of these years, but are simply
Not
trying to
necessarily
get
New York here.
It ain't. And they're asking him just the basic questions right now, and even that's getting him set off. So, Logan, to me, this feels like a situation that's reaching a boiling point. I don't know if that's tomorrow, next week, February, next summer, but I do not think this is one we're going to see resolved anytime soon. I don't think Ja Morant, however long his career is going to finish it in Memphis. I think that's feels safe to say right now.
I mean, absolutely. You see them. We forgot to mention that they traded away Desmond Bane, who was a friend of Ja's. They seem to be going into a direction with a lot of young guys that look really good on that roster, right? And Jaren Jackson Jr. And it seems to be two parallel paths here, where it's Ja's path out and it's Memphis's path forward. And let me give you some numbers. You know this because you're a goddamn genius, Howard. But 2021-22 season, which by and large is Ja Morant's signature season, put him in the MVP race. The Memphis Grizzlies were 20-5 without him. The 22-23 season, the Grizzlies were 11-10 without him. The 24-25 season, they're 18-14 without Ja Morant. The front office sees that, and they see all of the antics and they see all of the off-court stuff and they see all of the things that make them say, do we need him as much as we think we do? And then Morant, on the other hand, who has been, I would say, Zebo's quite there at the top of like people that Memphians love.
Mike Conley, Zach
Mike
Randolph,
Conley,
Marc
Tony
Gasol.
Allen.
Yeah, Tony Allen, all those guys. Yeah.
All of those guys are probably right there at the top. Morant also has a real big spot in the hearts of Memphians, right? Despite everything that has happened, you go there, they love Morant. There's Morant jerseys. He's in the community. Despite the fact of what happened or may or not have happened at his home a few years ago, he still has a lot of love in Memphis, right? And he sees, yo, man, I am a pillar of this community and organization. I put it on the map and I got us out of the, what's interesting? I deal with this a lot in the Bay Area, right? Well, in the music scene. Close your ears if you don't want to hear this, Howard, because you know you might not understand. But Cliff and Victoria might understand this, right? For a long time, the Bay Area has been defined by hyphy and the hyphy era. And the local artists now are trying to get out of that and create their own sound and say, hey, man, I want to be able to show that the Bay has a lot of different types of sounds and different things to say. We're trying to hyphy was cool, but we're trying to get out of that. I feel like Morant is a symbol of getting out of the grit and grind era of Memphis sports, right? Where that was great, but this is a whole different type of style of play, and I am the face of it. I'm dunking on fools. I'm going up and down. I'm showing a different side of Memphis and how we roll, right? Even though I'm not from here, I am a native son, an adopted native son, and this is how we roll. So he sees that, and there's going to eventually be a clash, right? And you saw the beginnings of that, and it's really unfortunate that it's gone to this point because it seemed like such a nice marriage, right, between these guys. I remember when he first came on the scene, and this was in the shadow of the backdrop of player empowerment movement, right, towards the end, right, where we have Morant, we have Luka Doncic, and somebody we're going to talk about a little later, Zion Williamson, where it's like, oh, man, if this thing works, these guys can be pillars in these organizations for the entirety of their careers. And I think it's just sad, right, when you see it come to this, because a guy of Morant's superstar status and who he is in the Memphis community, it's sad that it's gone like this, but you could see both sides, Howard, of why this is probably going to end at some point. Because Memphis, no matter what they say, and this is something that we said last year or last season when this was going down, when their GM came out and said, oh, you could say what you want to say about the social media post, we're not trading Ja. You see somebody's words and then you see their actions. Memphis Grizzlies' actions from the time that you reported that to even a little bit before showed that they were a little tired of the Morant experience. We're going to say the right things, but we're going to do the other things. And Ja is seeing that and it pisses him off. And this is where we are right now, this impasse. But it really looks like Memphis is working as if they are working for a future without Ja in the next few seasons.
They didn't extend him this summer, Logan. They extended Jaren Jackson Jr.,
which I thought was kind of like, I wouldn't know. They gave him a max. I'm like,
yeah.
But anyway,
I know I'm a little uncomfortable with it, but still, like he's, this is just the way that works in the NBA. Your best players, even if you think they're not a max guy, you got to kind of max them and show them the loyalty and the love. But like they signed JJJ to a max extension. They did not sign Ja to an extension. And then Zach Kleiman on Media Day reiterated some of the kind of thoughts that I think he had said at the end of last season, which was basically like, we got to, get this thing back on track. And like, this is a big year for Ja and all these things. Like it was very clearly they're putting a lot of the onus on Ja to show them. And what Ja has shown them so far is being disengaged, sulking on the court, getting into some sort of post-game back and forth with the coach in which the coach kind of called him out. And then, he says what he says to the media. He gets suspended. He comes back. And there were moments last night where I thought he was a little bit more engaged. But like there were some just ridiculous defensive turns by him where he was just completely disengaged, and the usual assortment of bad threes that he just cannot make. And he just doesn't like the best of Ja, and the reason he is so popular in Memphis in part he was just so electrifying. Like, remember the chase down block from a few years ago. There's obviously all the attacking of the basket. Now it just feels like he's driving into traffic and just getting stuffed and trying to pull off impossible shots. I don't know if he's lost a step, if it's just the beating that he takes. He's missed a ton of games due to injury. By the way, that's a big part of this too, and why Memphis is, I think, wise and right not to fully commit to him with an extension. Ja's played in 313 out of a possible 481 games so far in his career. He's played in 65% of all games since he came to the league. The last 3 seasons, 65 out of 172. That's 38%. That's brutal. He's been suspended for 34 games total. 8 games in spring of 2023 with the first gun incident, another 25 games later to start the next season because of the second gun incident, and then the one suspension a couple days ago. He's got 2 more years on his deal after this season at 42 and 45 million. I don't even know. I started to do the exercise. We can get into it if you want. I started to get to look at this. If you were wanting to trade him, how many teams even would want or need Ja Morant at this point?
At least one.
You only need one. That's the great NBA cliche. It only takes one, right? Whether that's giving somebody an outlandish contract, whether it's trading for a troubled player, it only takes one, right? But by the way, I had an exchange with a coach in the league this morning. We were texting about Ja, and he says, "What do you think happens?" And I said, "It feels to me like they've hit a breaking point. It's time for a trade." And he says, "If they trade him, they're all getting fired." To which I said, if they keep him and they stay on the course they're on, they're all getting fired anyway, because this is a team going seemingly nowhere at the moment. They took a step back intentionally by trading Desmond Bane, and they've got some good young players. This team drafts really well, but this is not a contender. This is not a high playoff team. This is just a team that's trying to find its way. And if they keep losing, they're all going to get fired anyway. So, I get that if they trade him, they get fired because of the popularity and the need to put butts in seats. But look around the league. There are 14 teams I eliminated right off the top who just don't need a point guard. And then there's a group of unlikely teams. Chicago's got Josh Giddey running the offense. Do they really want Ja Morant and the baggage that comes with him? Milwaukee just needs talent, period. But between having Giannis running the offense and their cap situation, I don't think they're likely. Orlando, cap issues and fit issues. Boston, cap issues and fit issues. And he wouldn't make sense next to Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum when Tatum's back. Rockets need a point guard, but again, cap issues, fit issues. Minnesota, cap issues and fit issues. So those are the unlikely teams. There's 14 others that already have a point guard. So that leaves 9 teams, maybe that would trade for Ja. You want to hear them? All right, let's go.
They better be the one that we're both thinking about. You can save that one for last.
No, they're on the list. They're definitely on the list. All right, Miami. Miami's just always looking for talent. And they think they can rehab anybody, right? They can fix anybody. I can see Miami. Toronto doesn't feel right given the who they've got right now, but Toronto's another team is just they're just throwing stuff at the wall and trying to figure out what sticks, and they don't really have a strong direction. I don't think they're likely, but I'll put them on the list. Washington and Brooklyn and Utah, 3 tanking teams that are just trying to find a direction. I think they'd all rather rebuild young and find somebody in the draft to build around than go get a mid-career veteran who was once a top 10 point guard and probably isn't anymore. So I don't think they're likely, but you got to put the tanking teams in there. Portland and Phoenix, teams that have just recently taken massive steps backwards and are trying to figure it out, but Ja next to Book, Ja in Portland, I think they'd rather just figure out if Scoot Henderson can run this thing, but you have to put them in the discussion. And then there's these 2. One of which was the one you're alluding to, I'm sure. Sacramento and New Orleans. You were thinking Kings, right?
I was thinking Kings. I don't think
the Kings will do anything.
I don't think the New Orleans Pelicans would do it though, because they already have a problem with their own.
They already got Zion.
But also, they fucking traded away their first round pick, right? Tufon Dumars is could literally do anything.
That's my man. Hard on Joe. I love Joe. It's hard to see what's happening in New Orleans because Dumars is a great dude, and I've known him a long time. But like the Pelicans, this.
You know what's crazy? We'll talk about the Pelicans later in the show, but like there's people that tried to give Joe Dumars the benefit of the doubt, and then the first move he makes is like literally could sink the franchise.
It's hard, man. It's hard. So the Pelicans, it's really unlikely, right? Because Zion is enough of his own mess, and they've got their own challenges. And those guys, of course, drafted back to back. Both of them were supposed to be new faces of the league and all this stuff, and it's just been a total disappointment for both. So no, the Pelicans, it's probably too much to ask them to take this on. They were just another team that like have need at the position, have a need to just do something. But yeah, it's the Kings more than any of these teams I've listed, right? Like no clear direction. Constantly
marriage
just throwing
made
shit at
in
the wall.
something. It's just a marriage.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's made in heaven. It's definitely not made in heaven, but maybe marriage made in purgatory.
But here's the thing though, Logan, like I just listed like the 9 teams that I think were at least possible, right? But even as I'm saying that, I'm caveating the hell out of most of them, right? Like I don't think Toronto, Washington, Brooklyn, Portland, Phoenix, Utah, I don't think those are all teams. They're possible but not likely. I think it's more like and Pelicans are likely too. It really comes down to like the Kings who will try anything and are just desperate to do anything and have big names. They're always starstruck. They'll do anything. They're like the Knicks were in the early 2000s. And then there's Miami
they got
because
Russell Westbrook, and I don't know why they got him.
I don't know why.
I have no idea why.
By the way, Russell Westbrook video tribute in Denver last night. Stop it, please. Like I know the league doesn't like making new rules. Can we just have a rule that if you need at least 2 years with a franchise to get a tribute video, or if you were part of like a championship team in your 1 year, fine, make an exception to the 1 year rule. Nobody should get a tribute video with one season, especially after that season when they said, you know what, that was okay, but we're moving in another direction now.
Now
you give him a tribute video? What are we doing?
I still don't know why he declined that player option, bro. I still don't understand. But let's put it back to the Kings, though. The Kings will literally do anything to be relevant. And by the Kings, I mean Vivek Ranadive will literally do anything to get into a news cycle.
Yeah, and Ja feels like a very Kings move. I could see that one. And the only reason I could see Miami is, they moved on from Jimmy Butler. They're in this kind of, mid-tier zone where like they're really good with Bam. Tyler Hero will come back. Like they've got some good pieces, but they don't have that engine right now. And Ja could potentially be that. And again, the Heat under Riley think they can fix anybody. They will be the team that gets this guy, that gets the best out of him. And to their credit, like Jimmy Butler had a bit of a checkered reputation, not the same, but he had his own issues coming in, and they had a pretty nice run with him until they
Terry
didn't.
Rozier, Dion Waiters.
They try.
Hey, Dion Waiters had a Dion Waiters game against Golden State. Like
Hassan Whiteside.
Like, yo, man, play it. You over here trying to just say Diana Ross. Say some of the Supremes too, okay? Give some album cuts as well, please. Come on, Beck.
So I just, if the Grizzlies decide it's time to move on, having already parted with Desmond Bane, having already decided to take a step backward to try to go forward, and if it looks like there's a breaking point here, I don't know where the out is exactly. And I don't know how much you're getting back. That's the other thing. Even if you can find a landing spot for Ja in a trade, I just don't know how much you're getting back because his value is so degraded from where it was a couple of years ago when he was a rising star in this league. He's not, he'll sell tickets. I don't know how many games he's winning you.
Well, the other thing is this though, right? Like, wherever he goes, he's going to want to get paid. And I think in this new hard cap, it's going to be harder for these reclamation projects or to justify these reclamation projects if you either got to go all in with your max players or you have to draft well and hope that they turn into a contender. It's just really, really hard in this new ecosystem to justify either that or you're going to start seeing the Ja Morants who do command these kind of salaries but don't have this type of output have to take a significant pay cut if it doesn't work out, right? Like that's really what it is going to be. And no matter where he goes, he's going to either have to take a pay cut or the team's going to have to just swallow it, just be like, hey, I guess we're paying you. And the Sacramento Kings are willing to do both. They're willing to sacrifice the salary and the picks just to be relevant. I think he's going to Sac. I think I just talked myself into him going to Sac.
It feels inevitable, doesn't it?
Right, it just does, man. Like anytime you have a battered star or a star that has a big contract that you need to take on and you don't know where he's going to be, Sack's probably your option.
I'm telling you, they're the Knicks of
They're
the
gonna
mid
they're
2000s. They're
they're
this
gonna
repository for everybody else's bad contracts.
they're the Raiders since I was 8 years old. You know?
Every league needs at least one franchise that's just willing to take on anybody and be like the salary dispensary.
You know what's funny, bro? Like, and we haven't shitted on the Kings in a while, but let's just do it really quickly before we get to Cliff. Uh, everybody thought that, and I was in Sac when this happened. Everybody thought when the Maloof brothers sold the team, this was a new lease on life. This was going to be a whole different regime. They're going to get a downtown arena. This is going to be great. This is going to be awesome. And this is the same old Kings with a better arena. By the way, as a caveat, I think has the best arena in Northern California. Just saying.
Ooh,
I've said this.
Chase Center.
Great cookies there. Great cookies.
But a call from Raymond Ritter at any minute now.
Man, it's fine. He'll be all right. I've told that to his face. And he just, it was crazy because our guy just loves to just promote everything. And when you say something bad, it's like, let me say something positive. So, anyways, shout out to Golden One Arena. I wish your team actually matched the energy of your arena. But how long do you think that this? Okay, I'm going to just throw this before we get to Cliff prediction time from Howard Beck. You might get aggregated for this, so just choose your words wisely. Do you think this impasse? Because you spoke about the Kings, I could see them totally like doing a deadline deal and just like talking themselves into this. Does this trade happen at the trade deadline, or does it push to the summer, do you think?
Ordinarily, I would say, because in-season trades are hard. In-season trades
Really
with superstars on max deals, and again, I use a superstar term loosely in this case. Stars on max deals is hard to trade in season, especially. It's always easier in the summer when there's cap room to work with and you can do multi-team trades, and it's just easier in June, July. But Logan, it just feels like this thing is too tense. I don't see how this resolves. I don't like Ja's demeanor last night in the game, and especially in the locker room, in the press, gaggle afterward. He just seems like a guy who's had it with everything and everybody. And given his demeanor and just the way we've seen him operate over the last few years, I don't see how that just ends happily. How this, like, they just settle into, they'll just start winning some games and everything will be fine. Like, I don't see it. I'm looking at their upcoming schedule. They got the Rockets at home.
Tough homestand. Very tough homestand.
Then Dallas, who's struggling, but then Oklahoma, and then road trip out here in New York, at Boston, at Cleveland, at San Antonio. Like, they're just, this thing's going to get worse probably before it gets better in terms of the win-loss record, and that's only going to exacerbate everything, and it's going to make him that much more pissed off that he doesn't have the offense that he wants. So yeah, I'm going to say he gets dealt by the trade deadline. Like, it feels that way. That's not so much a prediction as just like a gut instinct. Like, I just don't, this feels untenable. This feels like it's reaching or fast approaching a breaking point. And so this is a rare case where I think it's more likely that he gets traded by the deadline than waiting for the offseason.
Okay, so counterpoint to what you were saying earlier about, and I believe your sources when they tell you, and you could make an argument that city of Memphis could revolt against a John Morant trade, but just playing devil's advocate here. If they do that and they lose and they just in a free fall right now, like, I think you could sell this trade to your community, bro. I think you could totally do it and be like, hey, this is the stats from when Ja's out of the lineup versus in the lineup, and we are going to build a contender and a winner. That is our mission. I think you can buy yourself a few times for that. Like, I think this front office has proven that they can build a suitable team and find diamonds in the rough.
It just depends on what you get back too, right? Like, a Ja trade is, the sting of it for the fans is mitigated by what you get back. If it's a bunch of draft picks, they could be like, well, yay, I guess, but I'm not excited about draft picks until they become somebody. So that's hard. And if it's, you think about potential Kings deals, like, I don't think Zach LaVine is sating the Grizzlies fans.
DeMar DeRozan expiring?
I don't think a Sabonis, Jaren Jackson Jr. front court makes much sense, especially when you've got, Edie and all these guys if they ever get healthy. So it's like, I don't know, even if like you extract, prized asset Keegan Murray, who they decided to extend at a massive number this summer. Like I just don't like those things are not going to make Grizzlies fans happy. So
but here's the thing, that's the
gonna
new
be
NBA though, Howard. That's the new NBA, bro. You can't trade for other stars or other high contracts. I mean, you kind of have to, but it got to be an expiring. You have to build towards the future if you're going to trade a guy like John Morant.
Yeah,
like
I just you start with the names that
new NBA.
Yeah, but you start with the names that just threw out because of the fact you do have to match salaries, right? So first you got to figure that out, and it's not like the Kings have like some hot young prospect you can try to pry loose, right? It's going to be difficult, but I also feel like this thing is untenable. And as I say, there's no good path here. You keep him, I don't think things are going to go real well, and everybody's going to get fired anyway. You trade him, as the coach who was texting with me this morning said, they're going to get fired. But like, if you do it, you're doing it with the ownership's blessing, right? You're not trading him without their blessing in the first place. And then you're just hoping for the best.
Hey, man, I have no pity for somebody that gets fired in the NBA. Check's still clearing. You get to go to the beach. So, with that note, let's take a quick break. And we're going to get to Cliff, who's mad at me, and then talk underachieving teams. And we are back talking underachieving teams in Mailbag in a few. Cliff, what's going on, buddy? How we doing?
What's
How's
up with
Philly
y'all?
right now? You cold? It's break? What's going on? You died?
Hey, look, we got the Battle of the Eastern Conference Titans tonight. Howard Beck wasn't as excited as I am as the Sixers face off against the Chicago Bulls. Jared McCain's return is likely tonight as well. Howard, how we feeling about that matchup real quick?
I'm going to be watching election returns tonight. Do you guys realize it's election day?
It is. Go vote if you haven't voted. Go vote.
We used to be a proper league in the NBA with all its fucking jargon talking about, oh, man, BLM, we're about people's rights. We're going to take voting day off. All right.
I texted this to Logan yesterday. You guys realize the last time the NBA had games, we have 6 games tonight. The last time the NBA had games on election night was in 2021 because in the wake of Black Lives Matter and everything else that went on in 2020, 21, and the social justice coalition that the league formed, they said, we're going to take election day off and focus on our civic duty, and we'll promote elections. We use arenas for elections as polling sites and all this. No games on election day in 2022, 23, or 24, but we have games tonight. I did reach out to the league because I was curious. Did you abandon this policy? No. If anybody's wondering, the NBA remains firmly committed to elections and voting and democracy, apparently. The policy now is they've backed off a little. So they're not going to play games on election day during years of midterms or presidential elections. But if it's not midterms or presidential elections, they're going to do what they're doing today, which is have games.
Put on that vote shirt. Put on that vote pregame warm-up.
I got one of those in the drawer, though. That's a nice workout shirt. But the league prefers, they're saying now, to focus on the bigger elections. And it's listen, they have new TV partners. NBC/Peacock has games tonight. So I'm sure that played a role in this. Also, every time you take a day off, like where you have a game of 0 or a day of 0 games, that means somewhere else you got to make up for it with back-to-backs, and teams hate back-to-backs. So anyway, the league is still firmly pro-democracy, I am told reliably by league sources.
Fist up, brother. Fist up.
Go vote. My brother. Keep your third eye open.
Yeah, we only need democracy in midterm and presidential years. The rest of those elections are just minor. Everybody go out and vote, by the way, before you watch the games tonight.
Yeah, go on vote. Go on vote. Anyways, let's get back to basketball here. You didn't even you didn't give me a little take on the Sixers Bulls yet. I need to hear something, Howard. Something.
Yeah, got one.
No, listen, the Bulls have surprised me. The Sixers have not, because as you guys know, I was on Sixers might actually be okay Island all summer long and through the preseason, and you guys mocked me roundly, and everybody might. It's fine.
Cliff was with you though. Cliff was with you.
Cliff's a Sixer fan. He wasn't even with you. He's like, man, don't get my hopes up just to have them fucking crushed again.
Hey, look, man, I'm back on the wagon.
Dude. Oh, I gotta tell you. So I went to Nets Sixers on Sunday here in Brooklyn, and I'll leave them nameless because I don't
dunk.
I left before the game. So, you know my routine. I go in, I make the rounds.
Shout out Sam Amick.
I had to go talk to people. So I met a Sixer fan who's a filmmaker. I don't know if he'd want me to name drop, so I'll leave him out. But like, he had a T-shirt. There's somebody in Philly who makes these. Cliff, you may be aware of these. So it's a T-shirt that is basically it's in Sixers colors and everything else, and it's a close up of a knee, like naming all the tendons in the knee. It's like,
I've seen that. Yeah, no, I definitely seen that before. Yeah, that's crazy.
Sixer fans are warped, man. Like, you guys are scarred, deeply scarred.
Shout out
I'm
Philly
excited.
Special. I know that like when the Sixers are doing good, when you guys actually bring up the Sixers in like November. So shout out to Philly Special. Shout out.
Listen,
Shield.
Embiid's coming along. He's looking better each game. Maxey and Edgecombe look awesome. Jared McCain, I think, is McCain making his debut tonight?
He's making his debut tonight.
So there we go. Everything's looking up.
Yeah, Tim Bontemps reported the other
looking
night that McCain is making his debut tonight versus
Sixers,
Chicago
top
Bulls.
4 in the East. Destined to be
6'7",
top 4 in the
baby.
Here we
East.
go.
6'7".
6'7". That should have been VJ's number 6'7". Anyways,
Straight up.
let's get to the first issue at hand here. When it comes to teams that are underachieving, besides the Memphis Grizzlies, we have Zion and the Pelicans. However, Howard already noted that Zion really isn't the issue over there. However, he is on track for his lowest field goal percentage in his career by a lot at 48%. But the Pelicans are also just kind of not good at all. Joe Dumars has set them back a little bit this offseason. They are winless still. They have the worst point differential in the NBA. They have the worst net rating in the NBA. They don't have their pick next season. New Orleans. What do we got? What are we doing?
I have a counter question to that really quickly, just to add on that for Howard, just to make his fucking head just explode on this TV. Who would you rather trade for if you had to pick, Zion or Ja?
Shit. Oh my God. It's almost like, who do you want to place your fate in the hands of? Like, who? Man, I don't know. I don't have a ready answer for that. I could talk myself
Beck,
in or out
I'll
of
say
either of
this.
these.
Zion has a season that he played 70 games in. There is that. John Morant has
Yeah.
only played 6-7 games in a season at most.
I don't trust either one, and I don't trust either one to stay healthy.
6-7, 67.
Okay.
6'7".
Stop it, youngins, with your 6'7s. I've had enough. That thing has worn itself out so quickly, by the way. Like, as soon as people of my fucking generation are like making jokes about it or doing it to torture their kids, then it's already over. It's over. Move on to something else. 4 or 5.
So what's your pick? Who would you pick?
Oh, I wouldn't. I would opt out. I would quit and join a monastery.
I think I would pick. Weirdly enough, I think I would pick Zion. Still,
Really? Because I would lean Ja. Then the reason I would lean Ja.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I would lean Ja just because of playmaking. And I know there's a point in Zion in there somewhere, and then there's been moments where it's like you could do a lot with the ball in his hands. But I just playmaking and just the initiation of your offense is so important these days. And Ja is not a modern point guard. He doesn't shoot threes well. But I think, I don't know. You know what? No, actually, forget it. I don't want a point guard who can't shoot threes and doesn't defend. Fine, I'll take Zion.
The reason why I'm taking Zion is because, like, no matter, like, it's you're getting shit, right? Like, just in terms of all the baggage and everything that'll be expected. But you can play Zion in a pick and roll. There's a lot more things you can do with him. But the most important thing is his contract. You can get up off him at any point, right? Like, if you're taking on Ja, you have to probably commit to some sort of extension. Like, that's probably what you're buying into.
They're on the same deal, by the way. Like, their numbers are almost identical. They're both got this year plus 2 more left at similar numbers. But I agree, Logan. I think that if you're the next team to get Zion and he doesn't work out, you might still be able to move him one more time. Ja's next stop, if it goes badly, it's going to be really hard. But you're taking your life in your hands at this point with either one.
Hey, Utah, go get Zion, man. Get him on some NBA YoungBoy stuff. Just put him in a mansion. Just tell him to chill out, rehabilitate everything. He'll be all right, and you still win 35 games, and the take will still be on. But this Utah, right there, figure it out. We didn't talk anything about the Pelicans, by the way, which is probably a good thing because I watched them the other night, and whew.
I don't even think there's anything really to say, right? Like, there's certain teams where it's like you analyze, like, all right, this is going wrong, that's going wrong, or this guy's been hurt. Like the Pelicans, it's everything. It's everything. It's talent.
It's even the arena.
You're blaming this on Smoothie King now? I like Smoothie
Well, it's
King
not. It's not.
smoothies.
Yeah, you can enjoy Smoothie King smoothies. Not you don't have to be in Louisiana to enjoy Smoothie King smoothies. I was in Georgia, had a great Smoothie King smoothie. You know what I mean? Like
There's
it's
one
fine.
on the Riverwalk way back in the day in San Antonio. I don't know if it's still there. I think that was my first Smoothie King.
Yeah, it's solid.
You
I
always
would
remember
just-
your first Smoothie King.
Anyways, next
I don't know
question, man. Like, sorry, let's not.
We're just
Let's
off the
not.
rails. I'm sorry.
Let's get to Howard's backyard and the New York Knicks. Now, the Knicks have started the season 4-3. They're currently 6th in the Eastern Conference right now, 11th in net rating. They did play the Bulls not back to back, but they played them 2 times last week. They won one, split, and they have won their last 2 games. However, Logan views the Knicks as a disappointment so far. Howard, do you view it the same?
The Knicks are 4-3. Do you know what they were through 7 games last season without looking it up?
4-3.
3-4. This is an improvement. This is an improvement.
Oh shit.
I mean, if they're a disappointment, it's because they did come a little slow out of the gates, and everybody thought that they and the Cavs were the 2 top teams in the East. They did give the Bulls their first loss for whatever that's worth. Man, Mike Brown's installed a brand new offense. That's going to take time. I think there are some good signs, including the fact that Mikal Bridges is doing a lot more initiating. So they are mixing things up a little, which I think was kind of the point of the exercise. But I think they're all just kind of adjusting. Brown's still figuring out his rotations. I don't feel like the Knicks are if they're underwhelming, it's not by a lot.
Yeah, and I think that like largely their struggles are a bit out of Mike Brown's control. At least some of it are, right? Like Karl Towns, who had a great game last night, who was balling, albeit against the Wizards, but like
I was going to say asterisks.
Okay, I'm just saying it seemed like he got a swagger right. It's like, me and Cliff played football. It's like we always used to call it the highlight tape game when you play against a trash team and you're just trying to get your highlights up to get recruited. That's more of like what this game was for him. But like the defense is about the same as it was last year, right? And that's a personnel thing, right? Like when you have when your best players don't play defense, it's similar to Mike Brown's problem in Sacramento. Like he just did not have the personnel to play the type of defense that you want. The offensive, they're like 17th in offense. Their bench isn't great right now. They got a lot of stuff to figure out. But they're playing everybody.
Also, like Josh Hart has like nerve problems in his hand or his wrist or something.
Yeah.
Mitchell Robinson's only played 2 games because he's Mitchell Robinson and he never plays. And the Knicks keep like obfuscating his injuries constantly left and right, despite the fact that we are now in an era where there are gambling scandals and the league is trying to get everybody to be more upfront and transparent with their injury reporting. And the Knicks are still doing Knicks things. Go figure.
Beck was trying to get that off because Beck texted me that, and I was like, I know he's going to work this way into the pod. I know.
I mean, you put the Knicks on the agenda. I didn't.
Okay.
I just said we should probably address the fact that the Knicks have been like to the point where the New York Post had like I think a back page or multiple back pages about like the fact that the Knicks have been really vague about Mitchell Robinson's health this whole time.
You got the New York Post on your ass.
Yeah.
Shout out to homie though, Stephon Bondi. He's tight. He was cool.
Yes.
He was nice at Summer League. Anyway, Cliff, that's all we got. That's all we got. Sorry, I thought we had more. That's all we got.
Let's get down to Atlanta. Hi, Atlanta, home of Big VV. Rest in peace, Follies. Anyways, it's the Atlanta Hawks 3-4 on the season. Looks like they lost Trae Young for about a month here. They had a pretty good offseason. Everybody was hyping around the Hawks, saying top 4, top 5 in the East. Currently, they're a play-in team, sitting at 9th in the Eastern Conference right now. Howard, how's Atlanta's outlook currently as the team will be without the star Trae Young for a little bit of period of time? What's the outlook for the Hawks? What should they do? How are the young guys playing? How do you think this will pan out for the Hawks?
I'm worried about them. Like Dyson Daniels is a great player, but I don't want him running my offense. And there were times, I think it was last night's game, where I'm watching and like there was just way too much Dyson Daniels dribbling the ball. They need Trae Young, and they're going to be without him for about a month here. I don't know where else they have guys who can initiate the offense, right? There are guys who can handle the ball. Daniels, Jalen Johnson, Rizache a little bit, but they need a point guard. They really do. And they did have a great offseason picking up Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Porzingis and I like the assortment of players. I think they needed some time to kind of resettle their identity after adding these guys and Jalen Johnson coming back from injury. Like there was just an adjustment that was going to have to happen anyway. And now they lose Trae. And this was a big year for Trae Young. He's a free agent next summer, and a big year for the Hawks trying to figure out, as with the Grizzlies and Ja, like different situations. But like these are teams where you've got a clear franchise star who you've had mixed results with, and you're trying to get some clarity. And now you're without Trae for a month. And they were struggling anyway. I haven't looked at the schedule for them right off the bat here, but I don't think it's going to go well without him for the next month. And that puts a lot of pressure then on him to try to pull this out when he gets back. I don't like the way this is looking for them right now.
Yeah, I mean, similar to Memphis, it seems like a 2-track plan right now for Atlanta, right? Especially when they got that Pelicans pick, which could be the number 1 pick in the draft.
Dude.
Right? So say that becomes the number 1 pick in the draft. And also Trae has a player option next year, $48 million. So like there's a world where he picks that up, right? And then maybe he does get traded. Maybe he does get traded because of that as an expiring at some point. But like his time in Atlanta may not be over. That being said, as you said, this was a season where the Hawks, they have a new front office had a really good offense. A good off season. Wow. But it seemed like when they were making these deals, like, okay, we're going to go all in on Trae for one last year, and then we'll see what happens, right? Because Porzingis is also on an expiring as well, right? And so it's not the worst thing if they don't have a good season this year, right? They could be the Pelicans, have a bad year and then shit not work out and not have any picks and not have any means to build. This seemed like, hey, we're going to put all our chips in on Trae one last time. He's been in trade rumors these last few years. We'll see what happens. If it doesn't work out, it's all fair. I think ever since that trade in draft night, that's kind of been the attitude. And so I think for this season, it will be underwhelming, but I don't think it's the worst thing in the world for it to be underwhelming if I'm an Atlanta Hawks fan. I think they'll be fine.
I think I agree because of the fact that they've got some just really good young players. And I think like it's not like this is an all or nothing season for them. But I think to the extent that you want to get clarity about whether this is the right set of players around Trae or whether Trae is the right hub for that set of players, like that part of it, I think is really important because they're at a decision point where are we continuing for the next, 4 to 5 years with Trae Young on another contract? Or do we think it's time to move in another direction? And I think you want as many games as possible with this group as reconstructed to figure that out.
Sure. Hey, Atlanta's cool though. Cliff, when you going back to Atlanta, bro? You back on Peachtree soon? One of the 1.5 million Peachtree streets.
I will not be back in Atlanta anytime soon. Anyways,
we know who will. Shout out VV, RP Follies.
RP Follies. Anyways, let's get to this final disappointing team here. The Dallas Mavericks. They have started the season out 2-5. Cooper Flagg averaging 13-6. Obviously, Logan has noted he's played a lot of point guard, but D'Angelo Russell's played a lot more point guard as well for the Dallas Mavericks. They're still struggling. They don't have Kyrie Irving. Anthony Davis looks like he's going to be missing a little bit of time here. I'm not sure when his return will likely be. However, the schedule is favorable in the next couple games. I believe they do have the Wizards coming up. I believe they do have a game versus the Pelicans, who are only the other worst team in the Western Conference to them. So Dallas early on struggles. Coop struggling a little bit. Anthony Davis has been hit with the injury bug right now. Kyrie, there's no timetable on his return right now. D'Angelo Russell's running their point guard position, which is always a fun thing to watch. Logan, what's up with the Mavs, man? What are we doing here with the Dallas Mavericks?
I mean, we talk about Cooper Flagg and the point guard situation, but you brought up somebody that really needs a little bit more blame for this season, and that is Anthony Davis, who came into camp a little overweight, a little out of shape, and seemingly out of nowhere, got injured, right? So this was if they were going to manage the front office expectations and do what the front office Nico thought they were going to do, Anthony Davis, the crown jewel of the Luka Doncic trade for the Dallas Mavericks. By the way, Nico Harris had said, we're going to put our chips behind Anthony Davis because we want more defense. you would think that Anthony Davis would be a little bit more rejuvenated and ball out and cover a lot of the holes that the Mavericks seemingly have. That has not happened. And that is very disappointing. And I don't know where Anthony Davis kind of goes from this. He's definitely at an impasse in his career right now. He's 32 years old, which is like Howard's age for big men. And that is tough. And then you add the fact that, Cooper Flag is struggling, and you have Klay Thompson, who a lot of people had expectations on Klay being really good for this team. And also he committed to the Mavericks. That was a total different iteration of what the current Mavericks are. But I think the Mavericks are highlighting a lot of his struggles that he had in his later years at Golden State that I think a lot of the league just kind of turned a blind eye to when he got that contract. And it's just not good. So what you should do, if you're going to go all in on Cooper Flag, all in on Cooper Flag. Like, it's November, but in a perfect world, he'd be playing point guard, they'd be trash, and they'd be trying to get another pick. But because Nico Harrison, and it has just put together this weird roster of just like these vets that want to compete for a title and paired them with all these young guys, it's just a weird roster. They should just have a plan, pick a direction.
Yeah.
And it's not, I don't think it's anybody on the that's playing on the team's fault. It's right there on the front office putting together a hodgepodge of guys and saying, go win a championship and go be a contender, because no one thought that they were going to be a contender other than people in the business or people in the front office. Certainly. Oh no, I'll take that back. And a few ringer people.
No. Oh yeah. I was going to say a few people on a certain network who were way out over their skis on this one and proclaiming them a contender. But
there's no way that they were a contender. If you look at that roster and like Kyrie being out, and they're going to give Cooper Flag the responsibility of the offense.
So,
and then Anthony Davis comes out of shape. There was no way they were going to be a contender.
No Kyrie, no established point guard, unless you want to count D'Angelo Russell, who they're still bringing off the bench because they don't actually trust him enough to make him the starting point guard, apparently. Derek Lively's played only 3 games. Daniel Gafford's played only 1 game. Klay is old. Anthony Davis is banged up. Like, what does anybody expect from this team? I don't even consider them a disappointment. I consider them exactly what I expected them to be, or a little worse off because of the injuries, because I didn't, project all those guys were going to miss all those games. But it's a wonky roster and super front court heavy and super playmaking light. And yeah, they need Kyrie back. Jason Kidd teased the other day. I don't think he meant it as a tease, but he said like he's not ruling out Kyrie by the end of this calendar year, which seems like a crazy thing to do to raise expectations when he a few weeks ago was saying he didn't want to put a timeline on it or raise expectations because people had seen Kyrie working out on the practice court. I mean, if Kyrie comes back sometime, let's just say he does return maybe like early January or something. Like there's a salvageable season here. They could be pretty good. But the problem is when you come back from the ACL, you're like, you can come back in a year and sometimes a little less, but you may not be yourself for like a good 18 to 24 months usually. And so saying he's going to come back and play savior is too much to put on Kyrie at his age with that injury. So no, I don't expect much out of them this season. They're not a disappointment. They just are what Nico Harrison constructed.
Why didn't Kyrie say that he was gonna go on his own plane and like just I'm gonna go when I feel like it, no pressure?
You mean like an airplane or like a plane of existence?
A plane of existence. You're not really locked in, bro. You Cliff, you know what I'm talking about. You're not locked in, Beck, bro. You're not really one with yourself.
Clearly, I'm not one with you because I have no idea what you're saying for about like 30% of the pod today.
6'7".
Y'all want to get to the belt bag here?
Yo, Beck's gonna kick my ass. He's done with me.
Let's get to Alexander Gattegno's question here. Dear realist of ones, long-suffering Kings fan here who has had to endure
as if we didn't crush them enough.
Who has had to endure a lot of insignificant amount of mockery about my team and its decision-making acumen or lack thereof. Having dug themselves into a hell that is being the fantasy team someone auto drafts based on 5-year-old player rankings, is there an option beyond tearing it down to the studs that would give the Kings a brighter future moving forward? If not, how few pennies on the dollar should they be willing to accept to get rid of all of their good but incongruent players? Best wishes and thanks for all the insight, Alex.
You want to take this one,
Fuck.
Howard?
Holy shit. But all right. First of all, shout out to Alex. Great job with the fantasy team that someone builds on auto draft based on 5-year-old player rankings. Phenomenal description of your Sacramento Kings. Also, great use of incongruent. So I think first things first, like, because nobody wants to tear down, and Alex, I think, said he's is there a way out of this that doesn't involve a tear down? I think I don't see that there's any other way. I think, like, you just, whatever you do, don't double down on this build. Don't keep throwing bad money after good money after bad, whatever that expression is. Like, no more big names and big contracts. No Ja Morant. The only real hope is to offload the big contracts or wait until they expire. So, like, Zach LaVine's got a player option for 2026, so he's probably not off the books till 2027. DeRozan's off in 2027 too. So you've got like one more season after this one before those guys are off the books. And that's a combined like 75 million. So that's a lot. They could have significant cap room in 2027. So if you're looking for hope, I don't think it's coming soon, but 2027's 2 off seasons away. That's when your cap room arrives if you don't, keep doubling down and screwing up the cap. They have most of their picks available to them. But I'd be gauging the market on everybody. I mean, I still think it's only a matter of time before Domantas Sabonis just says, what am I still doing here? This is not the team that I helped revive along with De'Aaron Fox and Mike Brown and that whole crew. Like, I wonder what his mindset is. But I'd be gauging the market for Sabonis. If there's a market out there for LaVine, I don't know, but I would check. I would be looking around to see if anybody wants DeMar DeRozan. I don't know why they believe that Keegan Murray is somehow representative of their present and future. He's been okay, but like, I know you drafted him and he's been a popular player, and it's fun when he shoots threes for everybody in the arena to answer with Murray after they say Keegan. But that's it. Like, I just, there are no untouchables on that roster. I would gauge the value on everybody, and yeah, I'd be rebuilding.
Don't hold your breath. Go back to the old days where you just went to go watch the other team for a really good price.
Can we bring back Arco Arena too?
No, absolutely no. Hell no, no.
Never mind.
Alex, I sympathize with you, man. I sympathize with
you. Anyways, let's get to the final mailbag question. Let's lighten the beam up over there in Sacramento there. All right, Jeremy Briggs. I'm sorry. This is Howard's favorite subject here. Load management. With load management returning to the fold via Mike Crime, is it time for the league to finally consider aggregate stats? It would eliminate the player participation requirement. Total stats for someone 65 actual games played looked underwhelming when averaged over 82 games, and help award discussions align the league with modern stats. I hope this email finds you and in the darkness binds you. Jeremy Briggs. That's
fire. We got some good writers right into the mailbag.
Is this another reference you're going to need to explain to me, Logan?
I just thought it was cool. Probably
it's cool. I don't know what to do with that.
Wait, by the way, real quick, Cliff, I sent. We'll get to the question. I sent Howard the caribou on the radar freestyle. What did you think of it?
It was fine. Yeah.
All right, the load management discussion. What do you think about the aggregate stats?
It doesn't solve anything. Like the league could decide as on an official basis that the scoring title is based on total points instead of averages. That's what our listener is getting at here, right? Because then, in theory, you're incentivized to play more games to accrue more points because it's about your total and not your average. More games, more points. Cool. Same thing with the assist title, block title, everything else. I get that. But when it comes to awards, like the media votes on awards, and the league can't tell us, base your award voting only on totals and not averages. Like, we're still going to, we are all just trained since birth to use averages in the NBA. It's not like baseball or football where you can measure a season's success for a quarterback or a wide receiver or a pitcher's strikeout totals. Like, we don't do total yards, total strikeouts. We don't do total points like the other leagues do. The NBA's always been about the averages. And I know that it does kind of feed into this idea that you play fewer games and you still look like the top scorer in the league because he averaged like 28 a game on 66 games. But you can't change the awards process. The vote, I mean, you can change anything you want, but like the awards voting is done by the media. We're probably still going to end up leaning on averages over totals. And load management's not going away regardless. If this is proposed as a means to combat load management is not because players don't want to play. Load management is because teams have invested a ton in sports science and medical staffs and training staffs and in their players that they want to keep healthy. The players, by and large, are not the ones deciding when to play and not to play. It's the teams. And so I don't think that this fixes any part of that.
Well said. Are you going to be back next week? I feel like I scared you off today. I feel like this was...
There's just no telling at this point.
That was another edition of Real Ones. Thanks so much, Cliff. Thanks so much, VV. Thanks so much, Howard motherfucking Beck. I'm Logan Murdock, a.k.a. Logie Boo, not the two. See us Friday. And who knows who'll be here. I know I'll be here. I hope my homies will be here. See you guys next time. Tap in, all the shits. Bye.
Must be 21 years and older and present in select states for Kansas and affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and older and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rghelp.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.